Thanks for the mayonnaise. I really appreciate it. I'm not sure what that reference is about, but okay. Now we're jumping at it. This is the start of the fourth quarter of this season officially for me, not for everybody else, but it is for me. I'm kicking in, and this is time for us to put together the culmination of working all year long and getting better and showing it. And regardless of who we're playing a really good team that's had a great win this weekend. They are against some odds that they were up against. They came through in a great way against the best team that the NFL had to offer. And so, we got our hands full, obviously. So we'll see how it goes, but we're heading down to L.A.
You mentioned that fourth quarter. You guys, as you referenced the other day, have been a strong finishing team. What goes into that to being a good team this time of year?
We'll see. Everything is from the first day we ever got here to talking about this upcoming season is about always preparing to be at your best when you're coming down the stretch, and so there's a lot that goes into that as far as my teaching, and it's, the mentality is the most important part of it, and the discipline that it takes to be able to focus when it comes down to this time of the year. We'll see what we do. I'm anxious to see. I like the start of the finish, the last couple of weeks.
It's a different team than the Week 5 team that played the Rams. How is your team different since then?
There's a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff that's going on. Remember, Russ got banged up in that game, and Gino came in and almost got us back in that thing. And then, we've gone through a lot since then, and so I think we're back to firing with the chance to fire on all cylinders. And, that game was kind of messed up the flow of that season, in the early part of the season. And so, I don't know. We'll see. Defense is playing well. They're doing a lot of good things. Numbers-wise, they're doing all kinds of great things, and their consistency and situational play. The balance that we saw last week is really what we're shooting for, and so we'll see if we can, live like that for a while and see how that takes us to down the stretch.
Did you have any positive COVID tests today?
No. All negative. I was thrilled about that with all that's going on around the league. We were wearing masks, everywhere we were going, and with the thought that something could happen because it's been so prevalent at other places. And so our guys continue to manage their world. That's what they're doing. They're managing it with a conscience that helps them make the right decisions. And this doesn't just happen to you. It happens to you because you're making a mistake somewhere along the line, And so our guys are doing great. I'm just thrilled about that.
Cooper Kupp's on pace for like a 2,000-yard season or something. What is it
Can
about?
a guy catch 200 passes in a season?
Yeah.
Jeez.
What is it about how they're using him that is making him so effective?
He's the whole show now. He's a great football player. He's been a great player since the first he stepped into the league. Now without Robert, they've really had to lean on him, and just more so than ever. But they've always counted on him. Of course we have Shane here, and Shane's talked about the factor that he is for them because he does everything. He catches the ball in critical situations. He's all the play passes. He's protecting. He's in the running game everywhere. He's just an enormous positive factor. I don't know that anybody is much more valuable to his team than he is.
He was a big factor on Monday night, but what else, when you watched that game, allowed them to be efficient? Because the Rams hadn't had games that were either that clean or that efficient the last.
They ran the ball a little bit, and they were able to, keep Matthew up and throwing, and they protected him well, and so they played really good on defense. They had the big plays that they needed at crucial times. They just played a really, really good football game, and Arizona was coming for them. They were playing like crazy and going after it. So I think it was a fantastic showing, even more so considering the circumstances that they had to face a couple days going into the game too. And losing some players and all that. Magnificent performance.
Does that give you a challenge at all, if you don't know who's going to be playing for them, or is it not really about
I wouldn't
them?
worry about us on that one. It's not our issue really. We just have to prepare and all that. But no, there's nothing to change. If the quarterback was going or whatever, it would maybe make a difference. But we have to prepare from what we're seeing, and they can't. They didn't stray that much this past week from what they've been doing. With the hits they took, and so.
Because of what is going on around the league, are you doing anything more than you've been doing in the
We're doing
past?
everything we can think of. We're doing everything we can think of to people's conscience and the decision-making, awareness, encouraging guys about all of the masking things and all of the spacing and all the stuff that we do. Our guys, it's on their minds. It has to be. Look what they've done. We've done it for such a long time. They get it. And so, but that doesn't mean that you get lax and you think, oh yeah, we got it. That's not what we're doing. We're competing to figure it out every turn. And I was really freaking battling today to see these numbers come. No numbers show up today to prove that we're still on it. And so, I'm really proud of everybody because it doesn't just the players have to do their part, but it's the support group, and the support group they're much more fluent out and about, and they're all over the place, and they're the ones that have to be really careful too and be disciplined about it because they're the ones because it's coming from outside and coming from inside. If it comes to us, it's going to come from outside in, and so anybody who is more connected to the outside world has got to be more on alert, and we have to do a great job of it, and that's a big challenge, and we're not doing it perfect. I know we're struggling with that too, like everybody else is.
Is this the hardest thing you've ever done in your career?
I don't know. I'm not taking it like it's a burden, So I'm not feeling it that way to say it's the hardest. I think it's really been an enormous challenge, and it's been. I've embraced the challenge of it with the guys that make the decisions for us and the choices that we make and the protections that we take and all that. I've really kind of, welcomed the challenge of it all, and we're doing it. And I love when we're doing good and doing better than anybody else at stuff. I like that, and we're doing great at it. And it's because of Matt and Sam Ramsden and all the, EK and all the people that contribute to us moving and traveling and everything that's going on. So. So it's not the toughest thing. It's the worst thing we've dealt with because of the all of the issues that have happened for all the people that have suffered so much by it.
Have you had something in your career that so much is out of your control?
No, there's never been anything like this at all, and nothing even close. And the whole world's feeling it, and we're no different. We're very fortunate that we're in this kind of a setting where we can control the variables so much. I mean, the fact that we can do it is a big part of it, that we have so much structure. And in the outside world, people are left to their own devices and their own opinions and choices and stuff, and it's harder. And we're built on discipline and structure. Everything we do, like I said a long time ago, what we did is we went right back to the foundational elements of our program, which started with competing and always protecting the team, and all of those things that make us what we are, and it helped us. It gave us guidelines, so we kind of had to step up on it a little bit.
Have you benefited from where you live here in our environments?
Yeah, because our state continues to stay ahead of the curve on our state is not fighting and bickering over taking care of one another. We're great leadership from the governor and on throughout. We've been on it, and it's a really smart community that has decided to take this thing on. And not 100%, but more so than most. And we've been highly successful, and particularly in King County. We've been highly successful, and that's the surrounding area that we're vulnerable to. And so we're very fortunate. It all works together.
With the COVID, I think you had told us, if I remember correctly, a few weeks ago, that the NFL is no longer allowing vaccinated players to get cleared with a second test taken on the day of a game.
Right, that's the Gerald Everett rule, yeah.
So yeah, I was going to ask. Was that in response to what happened with
Yes.
Carroll? Okay.
That's why I looked at it. I mean, they may have had a number of reasons, but that's why I saw it.
You guys have been
Go ahead.
You guys have been testing twice a week all season, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the requirements from the league was just once a week for vaccinated players. How did that conversation go of deciding you were going to test?
Yeah, we're the only team that's doing that, I think. And the reason was if somebody was exposed on the weekend, when we can lose a little bit of control of guys, we're not in the building together throughout, that the Monday test would not encompass something that happened on Saturday or even Friday night, possibly. And so to protect ourselves against what could have happened on the weekend when we are more vulnerable is to try to catch it again on Wednesday. And so that's why we did it. And so a guy could test could test negative on Monday and be positive on Wednesday. It could be. And so we tried to prevent any issues with that. And so, we had a choice this week. So with all this going on, what if we test Wednesday and all of a sudden somebody pops and they can't play in the game? Well, we went right back to the philosophy and the character that stands behind the decision making, that we would be better off if we found out that somebody was positive on this Wednesday today, that would help us Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, until Monday exposure. And so we thought we could help our guys stay safe better if we tested again like we had been, as opposed to, oh, let's not do it and not be tapped going into the game. And so, fortunately, that's why it's part of, there's a little bit of a decision to be made there, and that's part of the reason that I'm uplifted by the way we've done it and the way we continue to do it.
Does the team pay for the second round of testing?
Yeah. I'm sure you do. Unless I don't know that. Yeah, I think sorry.
Along the lines of the.
Why would he know?
He's supposed to know everything. Along the lines of the Gerald Everett rule, there was a report this morning that the NFL is considering changing the protocols for vaccinated players. If they're asymptomatic, they'd be able to come back potentially sooner. Is that something you'd be in favor of?
If it's safe, if those circumstances that they go through, they prove that they're safe. Right now, a guy has to test negative back-to-back days, not on game day, okay, prior to game day. And so you still got to prove it, why would we assume anything at this time, and particularly when we don't have control of what's all that's going on and all.
I think when you look at your defensive
You
numbers.
can call Fauci up next if you guys want.
Line? You look at your defensive numbers, kind of a crazy contrast. You're last in yards allowed in the league per game, but fifth in points. What do you make of that, and what do you think that says about
Yeah, I mean, the numbers go beyond that. It's fifth in points. We're up in third downs and red zone. We're doing all kinds of things. Explosive plays. We're in the top 10 on both ends of that one. This is a good defense. We've had hundreds of plays, more than other people. So the total play numbers don't, they reflect a different outcome than what you're doing, actually in the game. And the most important thing is points, so, yeah, it's a product of early in the year, lots of passing yards given up, and they just hung with us. And then we've just had so many plays because of the way we've played, which we're, still hate the way that the numbers have come out as far as time of possession and first downs on, and conversions on third downs and all that. The defensive third down conversion numbers are really pretty darn good, but we're not getting the benefit of that because we got to do it on the other side too.
Special teams a factor in there too. If you're making teams go farther, they might be piling up the yards.
Absolutely. That's always been characteristic of our best ball is when we're, John Ryan's kicking the ball and putting them inside the 10-yard line. Well, Mikey's doing it like crazy, and he's kicked more than anybody in the NFL. So of course we benefit from that. That makes the field's longer. That's all. Instead of here is here, and that's that's just football.
Any thought, Brandon Shell, where did
he went through walkthrough today? We got to wait and see. We won't know for a couple days because we got to protect him because his shoulder has been really sore. So he's got the heart of a lion. He wants to go, but we got to make sure that he's okay and he can stay out there because the last two games he wasn't able to finish. So we're more concerned about that maybe at this point. That might direct our thinking a little bit, but we'll see.
First Rams game, DK Metcalf graded out very high, like 92 against Jalen Ramsey. What's it going to take to get him back to do that kind of productivity?
We just got to keep going. We went to him. I think there was a time Russ went to him 3 or 4 times in a row. We're trying to get the ball there, and it's just we just got to come through and make the plays and make the throws and the reads and the catches and everything. Everybody's got to do it. Both guys are trying like crazy. And we're working and we're practicing and all that to get it done. It's just it hasn't been as explosive. Tyler just continues to get the bigger numbers and all that, which we're okay with that. But when you come back to it and you say, hey, why didn't he catch more balls? We have to see if we can figure that out, and so we're trying, and that's all I can tell you.
Any update on Adrian Peterson and what his status might be?
He was running around a little bit today. He looks like he's got a chance. I don't know. We're in walkthrough. We went through walkthrough and he took a few snaps. That's all I can tell you. But so I don't know.
How have you seen Odell Beckham Jr. get acclimated to that offense, and does it change their passing game at all compared to when they had Robert Woods?
The first play that he played, they threw him a quick out, or a hitch or something, just to get him in the offense. I mean, the first play he played for those guys, they know that he's really good, and they're trying to get him the football, and they're doing. He's an extraordinary football player. he and Robert are different players. And Robert is a phenomenally gifted all-around player in terms of running with the ball and blocking. I'm not saying that Odell can't do that. He just hasn't been asked to do that kind of stuff. So they're different. They're really different in what they bring. Odell's an extraordinary route runner and with great explosiveness and speed-wise and off the ground, all of those kinds of things. And every time I'm saying that, I'm feeling like I'm saying that Robert isn't that. So I'm not. Robert, I love you. But Odell is either different style players, and they've just plugged him right in. He did not have any problem at all. He's doing really well. And he looks good. And they may be talking about why don't they get the ball to Odell more, because they're giving the ball to Cooper so much. Maybe they're saying that in their meeting room today. I don't know.
Has Austin let you know he's going to be the OC at Auburn?
That's not, as far as I know, that hasn't been completed yet. But it's really exciting that they're interested and they've talked and all that kind of stuff. And so, as far as I know, it's not a done deal yet.
Did you anticipate it being done?
Always competing.
Do you have any updates on Monet or DJ Reed?
Both guys were in the walkthrough today, so they're battling to be part of it. So again, it'll be a couple days before we know.
Pete, does Jamarco Jones get back to work for you this week? What's his
No,
status?
he won't make it back this week.
How's he looking for you just in general with the recovery?
Because it's a back and it's been kind of ongoing, kind of a little bit chronic, for us, that we're a little bit reluctant to say, okay, he can finally get back out there. We want to make sure that he can stay. And so that's what I'm telling you. We're not going to do it this week, and we'll see what happens next week.
Did Gavin Heslop get back in town?
He did, yeah. Matter of fact, the owner sent a plane for him, got him back here, so we could take care of him. His spirits were good and all that. And surgery was really looked like it was perfectly successful from my expert eye, and yeah, we're happy to have him back. By the way, also Chris had his surgery too, and he sounds very positive about coming back from this and real anxious to get back with with his guys and all that. He sounded good for what he just went through.
In all the ways that there are to combat a pass rush like the Rams have, is there a game that stands out between you two that you guys did it the best?
I don't know. Oh yeah, the ones we won.
Travis Homer, does it still look like he's got a good chance to get back?
Yeah, he looked great the first look this morning. So you just got to stack the days up. But he was back in action, running around. He was showing off a little bit, so that's a good sign.
And DJ Reed, is he okay?
So far, yeah, I think so. It doesn't look like we're not thinking that it's going to hold him out.
When you
We're rolling. You guys are going today.
after seeing him for so many games now, so many years, how has your opinion shifted, changed on Aaron Donald and just the kind of player he is and what he brings to the table to have handle?
He's kind of busting the test of time. He just keeps looking explosive and creative and problematic, and he has such a factor to help other guys play well. That's always been the trait that's always been there. I mean, they've been good the whole time he's been there. The whole time we've been there. I don't. Did he come to them like when I was still at UOP or something? Because it seems like he's been there forever and he can't get away from the dude, and he just continues to be a great factor. He doesn't look any different at all. Is what I'm saying, and he looks as good as ever. He's a really highly conditioned athlete, year-round kind of work and stuff. That, he's going to go well beyond the years that the guy should normally go, and so he's already doing it, I guess.
When you said the games you won are the ones you didn't have their pass rush be a factor.
You just looked it up.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think
I don't have any.
Russ has protected the ball better, fewer sacks in the games you've won, stuff like.
We rushed for a lot of yards a couple of those times too, in the good games.
Would you say that's the biggest common denominator in the wins is just the eliminating how big of a factor the rush is?
You have to try to control the rush by not letting them rush at you when it's obvious, and so that's moving the football and keeping them in first and second downs as much as you can, and trying to keep the flow of the game in your favor, and it's been difficult, and because look what they got, those three guys are monsters, and so it's better when they're not sure we're throwing it.
How unusual is
Basic as I can make it.
How unusual is it for how the Rams array Cooper Kupp all over the place, now have him in the backfield? Have you had a challenge like that schematically?
this is about as good as you can get. I mean, they're so committed to him. You know, that they're doing everything they can in every situation. They're just so committed for all the right reasons. I think it's great coaching. You know, it's great coaching because they got a guy that can come through, and they're going to him. And the quarterback is, I mean, he's such a gift, you know, for the quarterback because he's so right so often. You know, with the routes he runs, the decisions that he makes, his ability to make the catch. I mean, look at the catch on the roll, the sprint out, quick out on the goal line. You know, that was. You know, how do you do that one? You know, we've seen Doug's made a couple catches. I think Tyler's done that one time, but that was as good as you could possibly make. The guy couldn't even see the football, and he catches it anyway, you know. So, I mean, he makes you better, and we know we've not had a more committed, you know, aspect of a program in terms of the receiver, you know. Julio, any of the guys we've been against, they've never used him this much.
Stands out to you about how they not only get after the quarterback, but still find ways to defend the run at a high
Yeah,
level.
they're doing good. They're, you know, 90-something yards a game rushing. They're still doing it well. Like we have a pretty good. We're like 3.8 or 3.9 in a rush. So are they. You know, and we're really committed hard to stopping the running game, and they're still rushing the passer and, you know, doing other stuff too. So remember, this was the best defense in the NFL last year. You know, they're not ranked like that now, but they're still really good all around. And if you want to start one place, he's got 9-9 on his jersey. That's where it starts.
Anything else? Thank you.